the Easter Monday celebration, and we're reaching you live from Abuja on Nationwide. I'm Ruth Agubele. The Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, has urged Christians to imbibe the spirit of love and sacrifice as exemplified by the Lord Jesus Christ at the cross of Calvary. The governor was speaking during the Easter church service held in Imo State. Beatrice Ayam reports.
St. Rose of Lima Catholic Church, Ozomoma in Oru East Local Government Area of Imo State was filled to capacity as worshippers from the state and beyond joined Governor Hope Uzodinma on the Easter service. In his words of exhortation, the Auxiliary Bishop of Catholic Diocese of Olo, Most Reverend Thomas Obiatuegu, described Easter as a period of compassion and love when the good triumphs over evil.
Be truthful, be sincere whatever you are doing, and live as a child of God. Because if you live as a child of God, on the last day, you will see Him face to face.
Governor Hope Uzodinma, in his message to the people, reminded them to always reflect on the suffering, death, and the resurrection of Christ, which is the reason for the Easter. The governor called on all Christians to support President Tinubu's government with prayers for our prosperous Nigeria.
If we serve one another with the same selflessness that Christ demonstrated, our homes will be peaceful, our communities will be harmonious, and our nation will be prosperous.
Easter service featured a Thanksgiving session led by the governor. From Oru East Local Government Area of Imo State, I am Beatrice Anyam, NTA News.
The church services continue within the Federal Capital Territory with the joy and celebration of Jesus Christ's resurrection, offering an opportunity for continued worship, reflection, and fellowship within the body of Christ. Elizabeth Omori reports.
At churches visited within the FCT, Christians offered prayers for the leadership of the country and appreciated God for the victory of Jesus over death through his resurrection. The Bright Monday, also known as Easter Monday, clergymen emphasized, is a reminder of the hope of new life, which provides a deeper meaning of the empty tomb. Pastor Gabriel Akintoyeshi Abodering, in his message, reminded Nigerians of the need to embrace tolerance, peace, and love.
Coming together at Galilee should become a way of reminding us that our diversity indeed is not a cause, it is a blessing. And we should celebrate it. Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, Ibibio, Asian, and all tribes, all languages in Nigeria. If we are not necessary, the Lord will not have joined us together. So that we have been connected together is never an accident.
It is expected that Christians uphold the lessons of the Lenten season as the scriptures command. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
In a profound expression of faith and unity, Christians in Abuja have converged on Apo Hill to observe the symbolic journey to Galilee, a tradition deeply rooted in the early Christian history, reflecting on the post-resurrection appearance of Jesus Christ to his disciples. Let's hear from Deborah Micah, who was there for us.
In the spirit of Easter season, Christians in Abuja converge on Apple Hill to observe what they describe as a spiritual journey to Galilee, symbolizing the post-resurrection appearance of Jesus Christ to his disciples. Christians in Apo and Garki districts ascended the Apple Hill. It is now an annual ritual for the Christian community to converge here on every Easter Monday morning. The gathering, marked by prayers, worship, and reflection, draw believers from various denominations.
Jesus rose on the first day of the week, that is on Sunday, But we use this Monday to remember their gathering. And I pray that God will help us to preach the gospel even as we go around the world. Believers are encouraged to hold to this hope. The resurrection of Jesus Christ gives us hope. It gives us hope, and that is the basis for our faith.
Because without his death and resurrection, believer wouldn't have any importance in this world. So we are happy and glad that he is alive.
The annual observance continues to gain attention among Christians in the Federal Capital Territory, serving as a reminder of unity and shared belief across denominations. In Abuja, Deborah Gazaji Micah, NTA News.
Now, they may not have gone to Galilee, but that is quite symbolic. And you're wondering why Galilee? Jesus meeting his disciples there after his resurrection. Let's hear from Elizabeth Omori. She has that captured for us.
The Easter cantata commemorates Jesus Christ's suffering, crucifixion, and resurrection, featuring renditions of hymns and uplifting music. It creates a time of joyful worship, bringing together listeners in various choirs, as well as lessons of Easter.
On our radio station that is called Hymn Inspiration, which comes every Sunday 8 to 9 p.m. So from that program come the inspiration to always sing hymns and praise Jesus.
No Christian will be alive today because we can't call upon a dead God, but we call upon a living Jesus.
That Jesus resurrected so that you and I, who will sleep in him, will also resurrect.
Certificates were presented to participating choirs at the service, which came to a close with the singing of the Hallelujah chorus. In Uyo, Etienne Ibanga, and
Apologies for the mix-up there. That was how Uyo residents celebrated Easter. That was yesterday. So let's get to see the significance of the meeting of Jesus Christ to his disciples at Galilee. Once again, Elizabeth Omori reports.
The meeting at Galilee after Jesus' resurrection holds deep significance. The Bible reveals it represents a return to the ministry's origin, fulfilling his instruction to meet him in Galilee. In Galilee, Jesus met his followers, underscoring the fact the gospel is for everyone. Galilee was central to Jesus' ministry, the base where he spent much of his life, performed miracles like turning water into wine, calming a storm, and healing the sick. It also provided the backdrop for his teachings and fulfillment of prophecy. Clergymen speak on its importance in Christian faith.
During this season, we come to church often, we do prayers of adoration, of thanksgiving, and we turn to Christ and turn to spiritual matters. So this is our hope. And if we don't do it, we become weak and anemic, spiritually anemic. So, but when we do it, we are strong, we are vibrant.
For us to know that God's kingdom is only the solution to all humankind problem.
Christians are expected to leverage the meeting at Galilee for personal restoration and spiritual renewal.
Go into the world and preach the gospel to all creation.
Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And while Christians are still celebrating the Easter Monday via reflection, in Lagos, there is a festival, Carnival happening. And earlier in the day, we joined our correspondent, Amaka Owo, for the Fanti Carnival. It's a colorful festival that celebrates history, heritage, music, dance, and community spirit. And the carnival is seen as a symbol of cultural identity for Lagosians and its Afro-Brazilian legacy, usually organized during major cultural periods like Easter. Amaka, earlier you gave us the gist of the array of cuisine, how the stage was set for the Fanti Carnival. What is happening at this time? I can see, Lagosians are already gathering at the center there. So please give us all the gist.
Very much. Thank you for joining us. It's a hot afternoon, but a beautiful one. And you can see behind me the carnival dancers in various costumes. Right now, we have the United Youth Movement doing their parade, and I'm standing right on the runway. And you can see behind me the people in different costumes showcasing all kinds of beautification on display. You can see music on display, colors on display, arts on display, skills on display, creativity on display. I must tell you, this is a huge export for Nigeria. And this is not just an event, but it tells the Nigerian story and amplifies Nigeria to the world as a huge tourism destination. When we talk about diversifying the economy, this is one of such events that speaks to that ideology, whereby you see a lot of crafts, creativity on display, and job creation. I must tell you, there's a lot of convergence right here. I must tell you that the international community, they are present right here, witnessing this huge Fanti Carnival. And I spoke with one of them earlier, and they told me that it's quite massive and impressive. So I must say that this is something that, we need to harness, and it gets better every day. The 2026 edition of the Fanti Carnival is one of a kind. As you can see, perfection in display. So much investment, so much energy have been put into this. And I must tell you that this is a major revenue earner for the government and all major stakeholders. You have a lot of vendors here displaying their wares, a lot of trading activities, sightseeing. What a beautiful Easter Monday it is in Lagos like here. We've been told that we have a lot of artists behind the stage here to also thrill audience. I mean, people are getting the form at the highest level. I must tell you that right now, Lagos is the place to be. It's Lagos or nothing.
Whet my appetite to leave this job right now and fly down to Lagos to enjoy the Fanti Carnival with you. But I also see the diversity you talk about, the diversification of the economy, and I see the diversity in the display of the culture there, the heritage Nigeria is known for. But I would like to know if you spoke to the officials, the organizers of this festival or carnival. What are their expectations in terms of exporting this kind of carnivals like this as a means for tourist attraction? Okay, I'm sure Amaka is finding it difficult to pick what I said, but we'll let that be. Let's allow her enjoy the Fanti Carnival there. Of course, you saw the display of culture, and this is something that can be exported to the rest of the world, talking about our domestic tourism promotion. Let's flip to other issues. President Bola Tinubu has sent warm felicitations to Chief Olushola Oke, renowned lawyer and prominent politician, on his 70th birthday, and that's for April 7, 2026. In a statement by Bayo Onanuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, the President rejoices with Oke's relations, friends, professional colleagues and political associates as they celebrate the immense contributions of the senior advocate to Ondo State and, of course, Nigeria on his attainment of the platinum age. President Tinubu prays that God will grant the celebrant more years, good health and increased wisdom. In obscene light, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu extends warm congratulations to his special advisor on job creation and micro, small and medium enterprises, Mr. Temitola Adekunle Johnson, on his birthday, which will be April 7. In a statement by Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the president on information and strategy, President Tinubu commends him for his dedication, professionalism, and commitment to advancing the administration's vision of empowering Nigerians through sustainable job creation and the growth of MSMEs. The president expresses confidence in Adekunle Johnson's continued contributions towards fostering inclusive economic growth and expanding opportunities for Nigerians, particularly the youth and emerging entrepreneurs. We're getting back to Lagos, but this time around, we're not joining Amaka Owo at the Fanti Carnival. We want to hear from Adeola what's happening from her end as she brings us the next set of report. Happy Easter, Adeola.
To you, Ruth. Thank you for joining us. Just as Amaka said, is either Lagos or no other place. All right, so get down to the news. Nigeria's aviation sector is at a turning point as the country seeks to expand trade, attract investment, and improve regional connectivity. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, revealed that the country has cleared 98% of previously trapped airline funds, a move he described as critical towards restoring investors' trust. This was at the third Nigerian Aircraft Acquisition and Investment Summit in Lagos, with a theme unlocking capital, confidence, and capacity in Nigerian aviation. Ingino John Adams reports.
Data by the International Air Transport Association shows that over 30% of global trade by value moves by air, making it the most preferred for high-value and time-sensitive goods like pharmaceuticals, electronics, and perishables. This summit aims to bridge gaps in the country's aviation capacity and transform the nation into a global aviation hub.
Strengthen Nigeria's gateway role and send a strong...
Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo said President Bola Tinubu has approved the resumption of work on Abuja's second runway as part of efforts to boost the sector.
This administration has treated aircraft financing not just as a private challenge to be left to the private airlines alone, but as a national challenge.
The Nigerian aviation sector has grown in recent decades, with more private airlines along with new airports and related infrastructure. The safety record has also improved in the last 20 years, but there's still a long way to go.
Aviation experts note that while Nigeria is Africa's largest market, it remains underserved.
Unlocking capacity speaks to our ability as a nation to support and sustain growth. This includes operational capacity, technical capability, human capacity, capital development, and the infrastructure required to maintain and operate modern fleets efficiently.
Beyond financing, the summit is expected to attract deals and agreements that could bring modern leased aircraft to Nigerian skies in the coming months. In Lagos, Hinginu, John Adams, NTA News.
Moving on now to health. Cervical cancer remains one of the leading causes of cancer-related deaths among women worldwide. And at the center of it is the human papillomavirus, commonly known as HPV. Deborah Adeyefa in this report examines how this infection can silently develop into cancer and why prevention remains the strongest line of defense. Her report is here presented.
Data by the World Health Organization, WHO, reveals that cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among women in Nigeria. The figures are worrisome, with health authorities reporting about 33 new cases and 22 deaths daily. This underscores a serious public health challenge despite the disease being largely preventable. Experts say while most human papilloma virus HPV infections clear naturally, certain high-risk strains can persist and gradually lead to cervical cancer.
There are other things that we feel we are associated with infection. Some of them we are people who have genital warts, people that were HIV positive, and then abnormal discharge. And very important, people that have pneumonia.
Once a woman has bleeding after sex, they should not assume that it's normal. You go to hospital, let health workers or doctors screen you, everything is fine.
Health experts emphasize that for women who are older or unvaccinated, regular cervical screening remains critical for early detection, which significantly improves survival rates.
So there's something in the data set in place. We call it 90-70-90. 90-70-90. Means that 90% of girls to be vaccinated by their age 15. 70% of women to be screened by a high performance test by the age of 35. And 90% of those who have identified as having cervical cancer should receive treatment.
Public health advocates urge parents to vaccinate eligible children against HPV, while women are encouraged to undergo routine screening as prevention remains the strongest defense.
And that's it from Lagos. Nationwide will continue with Wadiem Abubakar in Maiduguri after the break.
Still watching Nationwide News and your life in Maiduguri. Happy Easter from all of us. A peaceful interdenominational Easter rally has been held in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, with Christian faithful reaffirming the resurrection of Jesus Christ as the foundation of their faith. The event, which took place at Iwa and Wulari under tight security, witnessed a calm and orderly atmosphere across the city, reflecting the prevailing peaceful mood. Pauline Kujevana reports.
Believers from different denominations gathered for the 2026 Easter Unity Service to commemorate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Delivering his message, Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Borno State, Bishop John Bogna Bekeni, drew from the book of Matthew chapter 28, highlighting that the resurrection of Jesus Christ remains the cornerstone of Christian faith and the assurance of eternal life. He reminded the faithful that Christ's resurrection signifies the fulfillment of God's promise of salvation and called on believers to remain steadfast in their faith.
Jesus Christ is risen, and he is the light that drove away darkness. And as Christians, we must carry this light wherever we go. And we must become like Christ in our attitudes, in our actions, and in all that we do.
Other clinics also outline practical steps for Christians to embody the hope, renewal, and transformation brought by the resurrection.
We are deeply grateful for what God has done. Today is a very great day. In fact, with the insecurity threat, we thought people would not come, but in thousands were here. So it's a thing of joy.
We need to see each other as one family, so that it's part of the measure we are using as CAN to enlighten people, to educate people, and also to bring where necessary to bring both faiths together.
The Unity Service features soul-lifting songs and prayers for forgiveness, thanksgiving, peace, unity and stability in Borno State and Nigeria at large. Security presence at the venue ensured a hitch-free rally as residents continue to enjoy a peaceful Easter celebration across Maiduguri. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
Controller of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Borno State Command, Yawu Ibrahim, has led a delegation on a sensitization visit to the palace of the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar ibn Umar Garbay al-Kanani. The visit was aimed at engaging traditional leaders on the implementation of the Non-Custodial Act of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Borno State. Umar Jembarima reports.
Was accompanied by senior officers of the service, including heads of relevant units, particularly non-custodial unit. Yawu Ibrahim explained that reforms introduced by the 2019 Correctional Service Act shifted the focus from mere imprisonment to rehabilitation, reintegration, and alternative sentencing. The comptroller called on traditional leaders, courts, and local authorities to support and adopt these alternatives, including resolving minor disputes outside formal courts and providing office space for non-custodial officers.
Minor cases should not go beyond the courts to beyond the traditional council. Formally, before the traditional council, they do a lot of cases. They will settle the victims, especially little things like marriage problems. You don't need to go to court.
The Shehu of Borno pledged support, emphasizing the long-standing role of traditional institutions in maintaining law and order and assuring cooperation to ensure effective implementation of non-custodial measures across the state.
Government is doing things because of the goods of the community. Government will never do something past for its community. Only that people are misinterpreting it. No. So accepted in good faith.
The non-custodial unit was created to reduce overcrowding in correctional centers by encouraging measures such as community service, probation, and restorative justice, especially for minor offenses. In Maiduguri, Umar Jimbarima, MTA News.
And that is our contribution from Maiduguri. It's back to Ruth in Abuja for more reports on Nationwide. Happy Easter, Ruth.
Thank you so much, Wadam. Thank you. In the wake of the Palm Sunday attack in Angwang, Rukuba, visible calm we hear is gradually settling in the community with visits by various key players, including government officials, religious and community leaders, civil society organizations and security agencies. The visit is a step towards rebuilding trust and fostering a sense of collective unity on the path of recovery. Ideyang Adiaba Gyang reports.
Ngwarukuba is largely a residential community and a suburb in Jos North local government area of Plateau State. The community, which had for long enjoyed peace until now, was left shaken with fear and uncertainty in the aftermath of the Palm Sunday incident. However, visit by stakeholders including the President, IGP, State Governor, Senators and other key players is to reassure the community of commitment to maintaining peace and ensuring the people that justice will be served.
Wherever you're going to have peace, you need to have justice and fairness.
And I must commend the community people for their resilience and the way they've handled this thing in spite of the anger.
I have called for calmness. I have called for youths to continue to be law-abiding.
In a show of solidarity and hope, stakeholders held Easter church services in the community.
We are advocates for peace, peaceful coexistence without which there will be no development.
My call to every believer is to embrace the peace of Christ.
Already, the state government and security agencies have taken measures to restore lasting peace, which include rapid deployment of well-coordinated security in different flash points, as well as proactive intelligence gathering and strategic planning to avert further violence in Jos, Indenyan, and the Abigang. NTA News.
And going by that commitment, talking about the solidarity visit to build peace again in the community on Gwarukuba, we have our correspondent standing by, Priscilla, to tell us how efforts have been made to ensure that trust has been restored among community members. What do you have to tell us, Priscilla, going by what you've gathered from community members, of course?
Right, thank you, Ruth. So the Sunday night attack of March 29th at Angwarukuba community of Jos North local government area had earlier on created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty about the Easter festivities, how it would be observed. However, we can categorically tell you that the Easter celebration in many parts of Jos went on smoothly and peacefully without any rancor, as church services, including at Angwarukuba community, were conducted in a peaceful atmosphere. The visit by various groups to the attacked community by well-meaning individuals, organizations, and groups with messages of hope and reassurances, as stated in the background report we just watched, have further strengthened the affected members of the community. Now, as part of the interventions, state government has provided humanitarian assistance for victims, as there are also plans by the federal government to send in immediate interventions to cushion the effects of the attack. Right now, as we speak, the curfew placed by the state government on the local government, commencing from 3 p.m. to 7 a.m., is still in force, while security operatives are stationed at flashpoints to ensure law and order. Ruth.
Celia, for capturing every detail, and it's good to know that there is a collaborative effort going on to ensure that the community find peace again. Thank you so much, Priscilla. And while CAM is returning to Angwarukuba, a heinous attack happened in Benue State, and the governor, Hyacinth Alia, condemned in strong terms, that attack carried out by suspected armed herdsmen on the peace-loving people of Umbalam in the Gwe East local government area. In a statement by the Chief Press Secretary Teso Kula, the governor described the barbaric act as unacceptable and a direct affront to the collective peace and security of the state, expressing deep sympathy to families affected by the attack and assured them that the government stands firmly with them in this difficult time. Governor Alia noted with grave concern, the pattern of what appears to be calculated and selective attacks in parts of the state, stressing that such acts of terror, though increasingly hydra-headed in nature, will not be allowed to thrive. The governor commended security agencies, particularly the Nigerian Police Force, for their swift response and ongoing efforts to arrest and prosecute the perpetrators. He called on residents to remain calm, vigilant and law-abiding, urging them to continue supporting security agencies with credible information that can aid ongoing operations. In another development, troops of the Nigerian Army have foiled a terrorist attack on a church in Kaduna State and rescued 31 civilians abducted during an Easter service in Ariko village, that's Kachia local government area. A statement by the Nigerian Army says the successful rescue followed a swift response to a distress call on the abduction of worshippers during a service at an Equa church in the community. Troops moved in quickly to the scene with support from the local residents. Launched a pursuit of the fleeing attackers. The troops engaged and overwhelmed the terrorists with superior firepower, forcing the assailants to, disengage. 5 persons were killed by the terrorists before the rescue operation, with their bodies recovered at the scene. The fleeing terrorists were believed to have suffered casualties as blood trails were discovered along their escape routes. Troops intensified pursuit to track the fleeing terrorists, rescue any remaining captives. How people see themselves, how they're viewed by others, labeled, and the consequences are the subject were the subject of discussion at a conference where experts conceptualize definitions and applications of terminologies to address stereotyping and ethnic profiling and its impact on security. At the engagement, experts conceptualize definitions and terminologies to address the stereotyping and ethnic profiling in security operations. This will be in West Africa. And the National Coordinator, National Counter-Terrorism Center, explained that sustainable security must be anchored on prevention, trust, building, and responsible communication.
In an era where narratives travel faster than facts, the way we define, describe, and communicate security issues can either strengthen cohesion or unintentionally deepen mistrust, misunderstanding, and division among communities.
In security operations, in media reporting, and in public discourse, definitions are not neutral. They carry weight. They influence how communities are seen and how they are treated.
We live in a world where words are rarely just words. In security and social discourse, terms once misused or decontextualized become powerful tools that build walls inside fear and solidify dangerous stereotypes.
We realize that over time, identities, sometimes biases, and sometimes the terminology that are used in conversations, in public discourses and security, isolate, sometimes stigmatize, hate messaging, and even stereotyping is being used in contextualizing security conversations, and this is the essence.
Examine the consequences of broad categorization on security responses, policy decisions and intercommunal relations. In the same vein, at a media parley, the organizers stressed the need for the journalists involved to actually do the right thing and fight against stereotyping and ethnic profiling in Nigeria. The recurring fire disasters in several locations and local government areas in Cross River is becoming worrisome, not only to the government but also to critical stakeholders. What then can be done to prevent this unfortunate incident? Let's hear from Oba Hysen before we join him live.
In recent months, Cross River State has witnessed a series of fire incidents with its attendant consequences. Some victims narrate their ordeal.
See, my machine was burnt down, this covering machine, and all the wood that was here. You can see it. I've lost up to 300 million.
Experts, while outlining safety measures to reducing rampant fire incidents, decry the devastating impacts on the economy.
As an agency, we always advise the public to switch off the appliances when you are not around. And the appliances, by switching off the appliances, you mean both at home, both in your offices and your workplace.
Safety is not a one-man business, it's a collective business.
The general consensus among experts to preventing recurring fire incidents, fire preventing awareness, prompt response by fire intervention agencies, availability of equipment, safety consciousness among citizens. In Calabar, Oba Hysen, NTA News.
We join Oba Hysen again. He has more details as to what efforts has been put in place by people to ensure that, they keep their homes safe or offices. Let's hear from Oba Hysen.
Good to have you here in Calabar, where fire disaster has ravaged the entire state, cutting across the 3 senatorial districts. And addressing the recurrent fire incident require a multi-purpose approach both by the government, the people, and the organized private sector. And one key issues that measures that need to be taken into consideration is training of staff, training of people getting the necessary awareness, because most times fire can easily be nipped from the bud at the ECPM point when these staff of either filling stations, gas stations, in shops are trained on how to use fire extinguisher. And these offices, business points also have this fire extinguishing gadget. It is important for people to know, because of the recurring nature here in Cross River State, there is need for every shop, there is need for every household, there is need for every office to have a fire extinguisher, and people be trained on usage it. Because having an extinguisher without training is going to amount to nothing. And so it is important for people to take this consideration. Another key area that needs to be addressed is collaboration with critical stakeholders. Sensitization is very key. It is also good for people to take note of the fact that, leaving your household, offices or business points without offering your electrical appliances is risking fire outbreak. When all these issues are addressed, I think the recurring fire incident in Cross River State will be reduced. That's the much we can present here from Calabar. Over to you in the studio.
Thank you, Oba Hysen. I totally agree. Those fire extinguishers should not just serve as props in buildings, but should be given the utmost training, especially to individuals who may require it. Let's join Kende. He's in Ibadan. Kende, what do you have from your end? And happy Easter.
Ruth, welcome to Ibadan and wishing you a happy Easter celebration. Adopting healthy lifestyles, avoiding substance abuse, as well as improving medical response systems can help protect the brain from damage. Professor Olatunde Oweye of the Faculty of Basic Medical Sciences stated this during the 609th inaugural lecture of the University of Ibadan titled The Human Brain, the Trees Therein and Neuroprotection at the 20th Hall, University of Ibadan. The report. Examining global concerns over brain injuries, Professor Oweye deduced that it remains a major contributor to disability and reduced quality of life. Brain injuries, whether traumatic or disease-related, pose serious challenges. Conditions like strokes, accidents, and degenerative diseases in a submission affects brain function, leading to long-term cognitive and physical impairments.
The radiation oncologists are always doing their best to protect the brain from the damage. But then, as I pointed out, the normal tissues that are near the cancer cell can also be injured. So they will also need to be doing more, and maybe they devise new things that will make it, that will not make the brain to be susceptible to it.
Many of these injuries, according to the inaugural lecturer, are preventable through improved safety measures, early diagnosis, and better healthcare interventions.
To be sure of what your blood pressure is and also your lipids. We used to say blood pressure. We now know that even when people have too much fat, lipids can score. So we should do regular checkup of your blood pressure and then, of course, your lipids.
The inaugural lecture, which is the 609th in the series for the University of Ibadan, reinforces the commitment of the institution to advancing knowledge while fostering intellectual discourse. The free train service by Osun State government has conveyed hundreds of travelers back to Lagos, bringing to a close the Easter Festive Transport Initiative. Kayode Oladushu reports.
The public holiday declared by the federal government for the Easter celebration is winding down, and passengers who had earlier arrived in the state for the Easter celebration boarded the free train program by the Osun State government back to Lagos. Many of the passengers noted that the initiative has continued to cushion the effects of rising transportation costs, while also ensuring safety and comfort.
It's reduced cost, and then it's very relaxing to stay in the train. I love it.
I enjoyed the free train. I just saw it online yesterday, and I decided to just enjoy the free train.
The special advisor on market affairs to the Osun State Governor, Mrs. Eniola Omotosho, described the free train service as a people-oriented program aimed at strengthening ties with citizens and supporting them during major celebrations.
I appreciate the governor of Osun State, just like the passengers have done, because he personally see to this happened. He promised them that this will happen during the last 2 weeks. He told them that it will happen again for Easter period, will happen again during Ileya festival and during Christmas festival too.
The train departed Osogbo at about 10 in the morning, marking the conclusion of this year's Easter free train movement by the Osun State government. In Osogbo, Kayode Oladushu, NTA News.
And that's a contribution from Ibadan. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja.
Thank you for staying with us. And next will be Sports Update.
Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate the World International Day of Sports for Development and Peace on Monday morning in Abuja. The program, organized by the Office of the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Grassroots Sports Development, took off with a 5-kilometer walk from the unit in Fanti and terminated at the Eagle Square.
It's to emulate what we are doing today. It's to have interest in sport, particularly grassroots sport, because this is where we get best talent in our country. Sports bind us, nobody cares about anything again. Sports bring the best in us as a country.
Meanwhile, in the 2026 Bayelsa Governors Football Tournament, known as the Prosperity Cup, NYSC staged a remarkable comeback. After trailing by 2 goals, they fought back
to a 2-2 draw in regular time and went on to defeat United Stars 4-2 in a penalty shootout, securing their place in the round of 32 at the golf course in Onumpa. While in the Yenagoa local government area, Akenema Biogbo dominated Global City with a 4-1 victory, and Afeni FC edged past Seaside for 3 on penalties. And lastly, in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz expressed his excitement about returning to clay courts, stating it feels amazing. The world number 1 aims to compete in Monte Carlo, Barcelona, Madrid and Rome ahead of his French Open title defense, although he has never completed a full European clay season. Alcaraz won both Monte Carlo and Rome last year. Sports update on Moyeme Unobu, NTA News.
And that concludes Nationwide. Thank you for your time. Do enjoy the rest of your holiday. I'm Ruth Aguilera. Good evening.